So, what is historical erasure? It's when ideologies dismiss inconvenient facts and inconvenient people in order to benefit themselves or make themselves look better. Some good examples of this are the Soviet communists under Stalin and the book burnings in Nazi Germany, which were used to justify the movement, which is clearly unjustifiable. But I'm here today to talk to you guys about a less known but just as important event that took place in what is today modern day Mexico. So the city's called Tenochtitlan, and in November 8th of 1519, a conquistador from Spain, he sailed all the way from Spain, came to this city called Tenochtitlan. And it was the home of the Aztecs. It was at the time the biggest empire, the most complex empire. It was so diverse. It was organized. It was structured so well. It was so advanced. And so Hernan Cortés got here, and he meets Moctezuma. And according to Hernan Cortés in his letters that he sent to King Charles, Moctezuma and his fellow people received him as gods. Hernan Cortés also went as far as to say that Moctezuma just surrendered his kingdom. The question is, why would Moctezuma do such a thing if he outnumbered the Spanish significantly? In truth, this did not really happen. This did not occur. See, Hernan Cortés was writing this false narrative, which includes stories about how he simply got there and how Moctezuma just gave up his empire, how he's just surrendered his empire. And this false narrative also includes stories about him getting Spanish reinforcement, but that is not at all true. Most of what Hernan Cortés wrote is a perfect example of historical erasure, and let me explain why. It was in Hernan Cortés's best interest to make it seem like the Aztecs just gave up their empire for a couple reasons. The first one was because he went against the king's orders, which were to not really start any trouble. And him writing this and explaining how the Aztecs just gave up their empire and how there was no struggle, Hernan Cortés knew what he was doing. He was trying to satisfy the king into thinking that the Aztecs see the Spanish as higher, which would then, satisfy the king and reduce his punishment, because Hernan Cortés knew that he would get punished in some form. Another reason was to show that no struggle or help was really needed from anyone, when in reality they did get help from the Aztecs' rival kingdoms, which included people from Tlaxcala and people from Huatec. And referring back to the idea that Moctezuma believed that the Spanish people that came were gods is a complete myth. They gave him these gifts and they received him with hospitality because Moctezuma was somewhat frightened that they would do something to their people. So they gave him these gifts in order to, try to appease them and tell them, go off and leave us alone. It's been commonly taught that the Aztecs saw the Spanish as gods, which is not true. And this being taught and this being believed throughout society just really discredits the Aztec Empire for what it really was. This can just be used as an example of how many things in history that were taught are not actually true.